Hey everyone, this is basically a flash tutorial on how to do puppet animation with a little bit of frame by frame in between. I usually don't really go for, when I make stuff like My Brother and Me or the Cool Games Inc., stuff like that, I tend not to follow a board because it's mostly animation on top of people speaking, so I kind of can imagine their, gestures as I'm going, instead of following the exact board. But I will actually follow a board today, just to demonstrate how I would do it if I was in a studio. Now, I made a animation called Crock-a-Mock with some students at the school that I went to, and that one definitely used a storyboard, so that's how I would do it normally if I was expected to do some more interesting motions. Yeah, so I might actually just begin by drawing a puppet. They tend to work the best when they don't have outlines, so I'm just gonna draw it. I'm gonna fast forward and talk through it like I did last time with the last video. Okay, so the first thing I did is make the background grey, because when you do lineless art, sometimes you end up using some very light colours, and rarely do you ever make the background also white. Well, rarely do I ever make the background always white, so I'm just using grey because then I can see what colours work well. That's actually a general art tip and not specific to animation. I just prefer working with a grey canvas when I'm getting up to this part. So I'm just making a little bit of a self-indulgent puppet of myself, and yeah, as you can see, I'm actually just building shapes in new layers when they go on top, and grouping them. I prefer to use groups rather than symbols when I come to do puppet animating, because you can open a group and change it per frame, and it doesn't affect any of the other drawings of the groups. Here you can see me going into the group and just straight up putting the hair inside the same object, because I figured the hair will probably not move from the head, so why not? I made a new layer for the eyes. I usually tend to put the whole face on a different layer, because I can then just draw it however I want. That's what I meant earlier by I will be kind of doing a half puppet, because I still tend to mostly redraw a lot of eyes, especially blinks, because I find it easier than switching drawings of them. At this point, I ended up also grouping the nose so that it's a separate object from the face, but it's still within the face group. That way I can move the nose around as its own object, and it doesn't leave a hole. Here I'm using a blue pen to shape the chin a little bit, because I think the brush tool looks a little bit better than the eraser tool, and I want to keep a little bit of that texture in. Here I've actually copied the face shape before drawing that hair in, so after I drew the hair in, I could just paste the face shape on top and then it'll be layered correctly again. And because Flash is vector based, you can kind of just just remove specific colors, so I did that with the blue pen earlier. So I made the body its own group as well. I'm leaving the eyes and the mouth ungrouped, because usually if I did lip sync, I would want to be able to just draw the mouth however I want. I'm not really someone who reuses mouth shapes very much. I think it's faster to just redraw the mouth. I think I'm going to be doing a lip sync video at some point, better explaining kind of my process on that. Yeah, see, here I'm just redrawing the whole, eyes, because I figure it looks better than, reusing it and shaping it a little bit differently. I've tilted the second frame forward a little bit, even the body, even though it doesn't move so much, because I think it tends to look nicer when the whole body moves. Now I'm doing a little dip in the head as I blink, just to exaggerate the motion a bit more. I'm using this frame to kind of lead out of the last key, So it mostly looks like the last key. The head moves the most, so it also moves the most in the in-between, and here it is just a very, very slight movement. Everything moves only a little bit, because we're easing into the next frame. Now I'm doing the secondary motion, which is what you call like kind of extra movement that moves a little bit independently of the main motion. The main motion is the blink where the head goes down, but the hair actually goes up a little bit as that happens because it's kind of like floaty. And of course this is something that I usually do straight ahead, like just watch it and see if it works, and if it doesn't work I'll reshape it, which is what I spend most of my time doing here. Okay, so I've just done like a really quick reaction animation with the puppet that I made. Yeah, so as you can see, I mostly focused on the big body shape first, because you gotta make sure that works before you go in. And I changed the timing towards the end and did the secondary motion last, the hair flick. So let's watch it in full time. Full speed. So that's how I tend to do my, like, simple puppet animations. It's a really, like, basic thing, and it's the way that I prefer to do it. I know that some people prefer to use symbols, but I just use groups because I think they're easy to manage, and you can go in and move stuff if you want. I didn't really demonstrate that too much, but, like, for example, with a symbol, if you go in and change something, it will change for every single frame. For me, if I wanted to, like, go in and, like, maybe I should have done a head turn, but like if I wanted to do a head turn I would have to go switch the nose position, but I can do that when I'm in a group, because groups allow you to change just this frame. So I've made the nose a group too, so you can just move it wherever and it doesn't really affect where the layer under it, the skin under it. So let's say I wanted to like rotate the nose. I can make this character face the other way just for this frame if I wanted to. I can even go in and change the hairline a little bit if I want to make it like seem like the perspective is a little bit more, you know, facing the right direction. Like move that in a bit. Oh, maybe select all these first. Yeah, so move this in a bit, move this one out a bit by drawing on it. And actually the chin, I would probably redraw, or I'd just flip the model at this point. So like if I did this, and I moved the face, and the mouth, I could pretty convincingly make it look like the character's facing this other way. It's not like super perfect because it's just kind of a quick demonstration, but of course if I were doing this for real I'd probably make sure this hairline is really like perfect, because maybe there's a little too much volume out here and not enough volume out the other side. Something like that, I'm not sure. Yeah. Anyway, that was just a basic, like, how I usually draw the puppets. It's kind of good because I can rotate them and choose a pivot point and make sure oh, I didn't take the fringe. Rotate them, pick a pivot point. I know that it's a little rough because when you use symbols, the pivot point stays. It does also when you only pick one, like I did with the hair really early on. But if you're picking multiple things at the same time, like I tend to, you have to set the pivot point every time. But it just works like that, you know, just moving. Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna also demonstrate, after I delete this, I'm gonna try to demonstrate what I would do if I wanted to follow a board. So I'll just import that. I'll show you how I do that. You press import. I like to actually put it in a symbol. Good thing I reminded myself. And I wanna get this. I don't need to do it perfectly, but I just align it kind of near the top left corner. F8 for creating a symbol. I just want to take a moment and say, if you're going to animate something that's not used for coding, like you're not making a game or whatever, you really want to avoid using movie clips. They're just a lot harder to deal with. You want to use graphics. So when I talk about using symbols, I mostly mean using graphics. The other ones are mostly pointless for animation. So let's say I want to set the thing in the top left, and I'll say boards or whatever. It makes a thing. You don't need that anymore. And then you go import. I'm inside the symbol now, in case you didn't see it. Import to stage, because I'm already in something where I can nest it. Alright. It's just two frames like last time. Now I have this. I'm just gonna like make it a little bit lighter so I can see through it and stuff. Alright, I've already made puppets for the McElroy, so I'll just open one up because then I don't have to make it again. You just saw me make one, so there's no point. I save a lot of versions of my Flash files because I am paranoid that they will like stop responding while I'm working on them. Alright, let's get the Griffin model. Just like from the beginning. Whatever. I have the folder for Griffin, so I'll just take all of his frames. Just chuck them here. Okay. So, as you can see, I have the body. Let me turn off these layers. Yeah, basically all the body, and then just eyes and mouth. I'm not gonna bother with the lip sync today because I don't have the sound file and I can't be fucked to do it. So, let's get this working. Okay, so I just flip him and then I actually copy a frame of him just at the beginning of the animation, just in case, you know, I delete something and I don't know where it is. I can just copy the original Griffin file that I had. So yeah, start by posing him in the vague position of this key. Of course, because I'm doing a very limited puppeted style, I don't really mind that he doesn't look as 3/4 as my little sketch of him did. That tends to happen when you have limited puppets. Yeah, usually in studios and stuff, they'll have a few different like angles of the face. I don't. I'm just doing a simple thing for like a podcast I like, so yeah, it's not a big deal to me. So I'll just like keep him kind of flat looking. It's also kind of part of the aesthetic, I think. So I'm just trying to get this as close as I can to the storyboard at this point. And of course the benefit from using Flash is you can just size stuff up without there being any like pixel problems. So I can go in and like move the arms a little bit, just like size them if I need to. And then I start doing my second key. This whole time I was like legit worried that Flash would crash. Just the whole time recording this tutorial. But I was pretty lucky today, so we're good. So yeah, puppeting tends to be very limited for me. It's like a kind of a fun, easy thing. So I sometimes reuse things like this hand. At first I was thinking, yeah, it's good enough to just flip and reuse. But then later on I just end up drawing another hand anyway, because it looked a little bit better. It's kind of like, because it's just my personal work, I just, you know, see what I like, and if it works, then I do it. If I can do it like quicker, like cheat by copying the hand, I'll do that. Otherwise, if it's not good, I'll just redraw it, because it doesn't take me that long to redraw a new hand anyway. So I've been using that layer that was blank in between before to put the hands on, because they're kind of on top of the body. I don't necessarily need to do that, but I just do that because sometimes they tend to move more than other body parts, and it's nice to have them on their own layer. Yeah, here you see me sizing up the shoulder a little bit, so it kind of looks like it's shrugging. Alright, and I'm starting to do the same thing I did before, where I kind of favor using these two new frames I've gotten. The frame that they're based on, and then making an actual in-between between them. And I'm using the in-between to make him blink, because people often blink when they move their head. And even though I'm not like properly doing lip sync, I'm still like bouncing his mouth open because I think it looks nice. It's just kind of an aesthetic thing. Yeah, I'm moving his, like, little hair tuft down a little bit to make it look like his head is, like, rotated down a bit. But of course it's, like, really flat, so it doesn't make a huge difference, but it does, like, make it feel like it's looking a little more down. And here I drew a new arm completely, to kind of, you know, make a good in-between. Okay, so here's a really basic animation loop. Well, it's not even a loop. It's just like 2 key puppet animation, where I did draw one arm pattern, but I didn't actually end up drawing very much else. Like for example, if I wanted to make this look a little better, I might even draw a hand in between that's a little bit different from both. So like a hand that looks like both this one and this one. Probably on this frame, but I think it probably looks fine. I haven't seen it in full speed yet because my program's been kind of laggy, so I'm gonna do test scene instead. Yeah, I think the speed looks okay. His head doesn't move enough for me, so I'm just gonna go back in and I'll move his whole head, like including the stuff on it, otherwise it'd look kind of weird. Just like tilt it forward a bit as it's coming back, kind of like dragging along very slightly. And maybe down just a couple frames. I usually do this stuff like straight forward, which is what it's called when you kind of just do it instinctively, one frame after the other, like in order, linearly. Okay, and I'm just gonna ease this one into the next one, and I think that should be enough for the head. So just like a little bit before, and then just a little bit down. So let's test that. Yeah, for some reason Flash isn't running at full speed right now for me when I play it back. Yeah, so like a little shrug and a... yeah. A blink, a different key for the arms, and a little shrug. Yeah. Can't be bothered to do the lip sync, so I don't really know what it's saying. And yeah, so I'll teach you how to export this so it's ready for compositing as well. Like I said in the last video, I'm not really as big of a fan of Flash's like export settings, because you gotta delete the stuff that you're not using, because everything that you see when it is playing in the test is how it's going to appear when you export it on Flash for some reason. So like, as you can see, when I test it, I can still see the rough, which I don't want to export. If I had a background, like just like a solid background, I would probably also want to delete that for compositing, unless you're using it as a green screen or whatever. I can't separate the layers as easily, but I don't really need to when I'm doing puppet animation. So yeah, I'll show you how to do that. Delete that layer. Delete the front frame of Griffin. And now I only have this. Theoretically, I only have this. The other reason why you don't want to be using movie clips when you do puppeting is they often just stand still when you export them. And I don't know why they would do that, but that's how it works. So you want to be using graphics, if not groups. I'm using groups because it makes it easy to go in and edit stuff, like, on the go. So, export movie. Make sure you got its own folder, and then here you go, PNG sequence. So, like, I think it names itself in Flash. Like, you don't have to give it a specific name. You just write the stuff you want before the numbers, and it'll give its own numbers. So, yeah, you want probably a full-size document. It depends what you're doing, but I want full-size document because I'm assuming I'm working in 1920 by 1080. Yeah. Alright, so here we are. Yep, same as last time, I get a bunch of images. Why do these have black backgrounds? I don't know. Okay, well, I can't tell you why that happened. Yeah, another reason why I don't use Flash as much, it just does weird shit every now and then. Like, these two frames don't look any different. Well, the good thing about PNG sequences is you can just duplicate these. You can delete these. 34 and 35, you just duplicate these. And then you call it and that's another reason why you should use PNG sequences. There you go. Yeah. So that's kind of how I go about puppeting. I think I might do compositing next, in the next video. Thank you everyone for watching my second tutorial video. I'm hoping to put these out maybe every week if I can, but of course I can get kind of busy, so I'm not really sure. That's not a promise. But hopefully I want to put them out every Saturday if I can. Thank you so much to my patrons for supporting me. It's been great to get suggestions for what kind of things I should make tutorials on. I don't always have time to make proper animations, so it's really nice to feel like I'm making some kind of video content on YouTube. And I'd like to continue doing that. So if you want to also support me, just click the link that comes up at the end of the video, or check the description. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next week, hopefully. Bye!